Have you ever gone through a season where everything felt silent? You prayed, you waited, you hoped something would change. But day after day, life seemed exactly the same. The answers did not come. The breakthrough did not appear. The pain did not disappear. And somewhere deep inside your heart, you started asking difficult questions. God, are you listening? Do you still see me? Why does it feel like nothing is changing? If you have ever felt that way, you're not alone. Many people silently carry those same questions. They smile in front of others while privately battling fear, exhaustion, disappointment, and uncertainty. Sometimes life becomes so heavy that even strong faith begins to feel weak. But today, I want to remind you of something important. God's silence does not mean God's absence. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean heaven is standing still. Sometimes the greatest work God does happens in seasons when we understand the least. There are moments when God works quietly behind the scenes, arranging things we cannot yet see. He may be protecting you from something. He may be preparing you for something. He may be strengthening your heart for the next chapter of your life. And even though you cannot fully understand the process right now, God still has a purpose. Your current season is not the end of your story. The waiting is not meaningless. The struggle is not wasted. The silence is not empty. God is still working. And maybe this message is arriving in your life today because your heart needs that reminder. Maybe you have been carrying burdens that nobody knows about. Maybe you've been trying to stay strong while secretly feeling exhausted. Maybe you've been praying for direction, healing, peace, or hope. If that is you, stay with this message until the end. Because today we're going to talk about trusting God through difficult seasons, understanding divine timing, and learning how to keep faith alive even when life feels uncertain. And perhaps by the end of this message, you will begin to realize that God has been closer than you thought the entire time. Life has a way of testing people. Sometimes the struggles come unexpectedly. One moment, everything feels normal, and the next moment life changes completely. A relationship falls apart. A financial problem appears. A health issue develops. A dream suddenly collapses. And in those moments, fear begins to grow. You start wondering how everything will work out. You try to stay positive. You try to stay faithful. But deep inside, anxiety keeps whispering that things may never improve. Many people go through life carrying invisible battles. Some people battle loneliness. Some battle depression. Some battle fear about the future. Some battle disappointment from past pain. And often, nobody else fully understands what they are carrying. That is why spiritual exhaustion can feel so isolating. You may feel surrounded by people while still feeling completely alone inside. But the truth is this: God sees every hidden battle. He sees every tear that nobody else notices. He hears every quiet prayer. He understands every fear you have struggled to explain. Nothing about your pain is invisible to him. Sometimes we think God only notices big moments, but God also notices the small moments. The moments when you quietly sit in your room trying to stay strong. The moments when you wipe away tears before anyone sees them. The moments when you feel emotionally exhausted but still keep moving forward. God sees all of it. And even when life feels confusing, he is still present. The Bible reminds us again and again that God walks with people through difficult seasons. David faced fear. Job faced suffering. Joseph faced betrayal. Moses faced uncertainty. None of them lived perfect lives free from struggle. But through every challenge, God remained faithful. And the same God who guided them is still able to guide you. One of the hardest parts of faith is learning to trust God when nothing seems to happen. People often expect miracles to arrive loudly. They expect instant answers. Instant change. Instant clarity. But sometimes God moves quietly. Think about a seed planted in the ground. At first, nothing appears visible. From the outside, it looks inactive. But beneath the surface, growth is already happening. Roots are developing. Strength is forming. Life is beginning. The same thing can happen in your spiritual life. There may be seasons when you cannot see progress. Yet beneath the surface, God may already be working. He may be building strength inside you. He may be teaching patience. He may be developing wisdom. He may be protecting you from things you do not yet understand. Many blessings require preparation before they arrive. Sometimes God prepares the blessing. Sometimes He prepares the person. And often, He does both at the same time. That is why waiting seasons are not always punishment. Sometimes waiting is preparation. Sometimes delays are protection. Sometimes closed doors are guidance. There are opportunities that seem perfect from our perspective, but would have eventually brought pain. There are relationships we desperately wanted that were never meant to last. There are situations we thought would complete us, but would have eventually drained us. God sees beyond the present moment. He sees consequences we cannot see. And because He sees the full picture, He sometimes says, "Not yet," even when we desperately want immediate answers. That can feel frustrating. But later in life, many people realize that God was protecting them all along. The delay that once felt painful eventually becomes understandable. The closed door that once caused heartbreak eventually reveals hidden wisdom. And suddenly, what once felt confusing begins to make sense. One of the clearest examples of this truth can be found in the story of Joseph. Joseph received a dream from God at a young age. He believed God had a purpose for his life. But shortly after receiving that dream, everything seemed to go wrong. His brothers betrayed him. He was sold into slavery. He was falsely accused. He was thrown into prison. Imagine how hopeless that situation must have felt. Joseph probably had moments where he wondered why God allowed those painful events. From a human perspective, his life looked like a disaster. But God was still working. Even inside the prison, God was preparing Joseph for the future. The suffering was not the end of the story. The delays were not permanent defeat. Eventually, Joseph rose from prison to a position of leadership. And later, he realized something powerful. What others meant for harm, God used for good. That story still matters today because many people are currently walking through their own version of uncertainty. You may feel forgotten. You may feel delayed. You may feel discouraged. But your story is still unfolding. Just because life feels difficult right now does not mean God has abandoned you. There are chapters you cannot see yet. And one day, you may look back and realize that even painful moments were shaping you for something greater. Trusting God is easy when everything is going well. Faith feels simple when prayers are being answered quickly. But real faith is revealed during difficult seasons. Faith grows strongest when people continue believing even without immediate results. That does not mean pretending life is perfect. It does not mean ignoring pain. It means choosing to believe that God is still present even during uncertainty. Trusting God means understanding that His perspective is greater than ours. We only see small pieces of life, but God sees the entire journey. He sees what is ahead. He sees what is hidden. He sees the outcome long before we do. That is why faith often requires patience. And patience can be difficult. In a world filled with instant gratification, waiting feels uncomfortable. People want quick answers, quick success, quick healing, quick change. But growth often takes time. Healing takes time. Transformation takes time. And many of the most meaningful things in life are developed slowly. Even spiritual maturity develops gradually. Every challenge teaches something. Every season shapes character. Every disappointment can create wisdom. And through all of it, God continues working. Sometimes people feel isolated in their struggles. They assume everyone else has life figured out. But many people quietly carry pain. Some are grieving losses. Some are fighting anxiety. Some are struggling financially. Some are battling emotional exhaustion. And many people are silently praying for hope. If you're in that place right now, remember this. You are not alone. There are people all around the world who understand what it feels like to wait for answers. And more importantly, God understands.